Hello everybody and welcome into R&R Racing League live tonight with the Superspeedway Series Championship from Talladega Superspeedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. Drivers down trackside getting gridded up, getting ready to go, and with that knowledge, let's get things kicked off here tonight with your starting grid for the final race of the season. Taking pole, it's going to be Steve Sizemore in the 2 truck. Puts down a 56.113. Good lap time there. Michael Menchaca, he will roll off second in that 32 truck. Just about, looks like half a tenth behind your leader. So pretty close gap here in lap times, at least for the front row. Brian Newman will roll off back in third. Wesley Lynch to his outside in fourth. It's going to be Matthew Herring starting from that 5th position. To his outside in 6th is Jerry Bergeron. John Daniels, oh, we got trouble back in the pack. So I think that might have been one of your race control trucks. Derek Raleigh, we'll go to him in just a moment. But going further towards the front of the field, continuing to roll through. Yeah, Jerry Bergeron in 6th. John Daniels back in 7th. Martin Bjork in 8th. Jack Hignite in 9th. And Michael Clay going to be rounding out your top 10. Back at the 11th position here tonight. Again, Derek Raleigh not actually in the race. He is doing race control tonight. So going back and actually going to be moving up a spot will be James Hickson. He will actually roll off again 11th. And then rounding out the field here tonight, Charles Dickens in 13th. And Derek Fulton, good to see him back in the field here tonight, the Superspeedway Series. He will roll off 14th. Lights go back on the pace car. That means we're going to go an extra lap. That'll give us some more time here to get through your race info and some of the pre-race details before this thing gets underway. Again, we are in the Craftsman Truck Series here tonight. 55 laps the scheduled distance. 67% fuel. Going to throw at least 1, if not 2 pit stops in the mix for tonight's strategy. Everybody does have 2 sets of tires, 2 faster pairs, fixed setups as always, and 3 green light checkers if you were to need them. Weather outside, 77 degrees, 66% humidity. Cloudy skies, winds at 6 miles an hour. Talladega Superspeedway, 2.65 miles in length, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners. 118 degrees, going to be the starting track temp here tonight. So little hot, little slick. iRacing just got finished with the new update today, so going to be very interesting to see how all of these trucks perform in the new conditions, and of course, with a lot on the line here tonight. What we know with the points battle, well, not much. One thing we know for sure is Wesley Lynch is actually leading coming into the points battle. Again, we're crowning a champion tonight, and whoever has the most points at the end of the night will be crowned the champion. We don't know the exact gaps, but like I said, what we do know is that the 33 machine of Wesley Lynch right now is your leader. And notice he's got that champion sticker on the back. There's a reason for that. Just about a week ago, we were back in the 8-race Wildcard Series Championship at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we remember how good of a race that was, the finish it produced. And, of course, Wesley Lynch got the job done in that 33 truck. He was your race winner and then crowned ultimately season champion. A lot of guys, though, that had a great shot at it, including Jerry Bergeron, one of the 2 Canadian drivers in the field here tonight. And just behind him, the other one of the Canadians, that's Martin Bjork in the 71 machine. And so watch for those 2 to maybe get linked up, try to get something going, working together. Jack Hignite, there he is in the 07. I believe might have saw Jack in the Little Guy Series just the other night over at Dega Pros. Good to see him back out here tonight. And I think some of the reason that they might be waiting here might be the issue here that we have with Derek Raleigh, as he is currently sitting on track still, trying to get a push there. It looks like, I'm not sure who this is trying to push him here. John Daniels, Derek Fulton. I'm not sure what has happened here. He cannot move that truck. I mean, this is bizarre. Before we've even got the race started, looks like Derek finally just decided to tow. I've never quite seen something like that before. Let's actually go back to all the way when this started here with John Daniels and Derek Raleigh here. You saw John Daniels jump off the track. And I think all he was doing here was backing up to go pick up Raleigh. But this was then definitely quite something that was a little out of the ordinary. As I believe he came to a stop again here. We'll roll it up just a little bit, but don't have much time here, so we're going to go back to the front when they get ready to go green. Yeah, there you see Derek Raleigh stopped again. He's race control tonight, so thinking maybe he accidentally got on the track. Not sure what he was trying to do there, but I mean, he's in the truck and this thing just will not move. So very interesting way to start the race. Full moon tonight, even though it's a bright and sunny day here at Talladega. But getting ready to get the one-to-go signal hopefully this time, and that will cue us off for the actual green flag here on the night. Well, since we have a chance, let's see if we can get a little pre-race interview here with your pole sitter, Steve Sizemore. Hey, Steve, this is Austin up in the booth. Got a copy? Give him just another moment here. Hey, Steve Sizemore, this is Austin Green up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a couple delayed laps here, so I figured we'd get a chance to go hop in and talk with the pole sitter here tonight. You put down a good lap. You got the truck out in front here for the green flag at the last race of the season. How the nerves feeling right now?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. Just ready to get going here.
Well, as we get going again, 55 laps, all in all, not that long of a race here at Talladega. Throwing in a couple pit stops in the mix. How does that kind of shape your strategy tonight? Do you ride around, get through some of these pit stops, or do you stay aggressive all night and try to stay at the front?
I think I'm going to try to stay aggressive. Hopefully some of these guys behind me will work with me.
Sounds like a pretty good game plan. Well, hey, we'll let you get down to it. Get ready to go. We appreciate you giving us a couple quick words. Good luck here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Go, Steve Sizemore. Boy, he certainly sounds locked and loaded, ready to go. Wesley Lynch a couple spots back. We're going to be watching to see how aggressive he decides to be early. Was wondering if maybe he'd be on the flip side of that strategy here, try to take it a little bit easy right out of the gates, but I'm thinking that these 2-3 extra caution laps that we've had waiting to get this thing going has probably got some of these guys a lot more antsy than they were just as we were getting on the grid, and you got to get those jitters out. Best way to do that is to get up at the front, get comfortable being uncomfortable, try to get some laps led here on the night. Taking a quick look at the left of your screen on that scoring tower, you see Derek Fulton has still not been scored as being in the race. He is not here, so again, we believe that may be some sort of technical connection issue, but a tough break nonetheless, and Derek Raleigh Race Control puts us at 12 trucks in total. Not a big field, but you figure you put 4 of them in each lane, we can still go 3 wide with a pretty good pack here. Going to be a lot of good racing tonight, and we are ready for it. Looking at the car split of the field here tonight, 2 Fords will lead him to green with Sizemore and Menchaca. A bunch of Chevys the rest of the way. James Hickson, James Hickson, the other Ford in the field. Derek Fulton was as well, but again, did not make the race. Here we go. After a little bit of a delayed start, we're ready to go. Final race of the season is underway in the Superspeedway Series. Lap 1 complete. It's going to go to the 32 truck of Michael Menchaca on the outside. Getting a really big push right now from Wesley Lynch, trying to see if he can get that 32 out in front. Maybe get him to drop low and have a chance to lead this line for himself. The one of Jerry Bergeron just behind him, Martin Bjork, both lined up as well on the outside. If those 4 trucks can get a little bit closer together, they might be able to start rolling some momentum here down the Alabama gang back straightaway, but still a drag race, at least for the moment. Nobody been able to make any headway as of yet. And that top line, caution is out here. I think I have a good idea for what this is for. That's exactly what it's going to be. I think this is an admin thrown caution as Derek Raleigh, but I was thinking it was Derek Fulton here who may have gotten back in the field. Otherwise, not really sure here what the deal is. Again, there you see Derek Raleigh in the 17. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe he was racing. From what we had heard pre-race, I thought he was just race controlling. But I'm starting to think now that maybe he is racing. I'm just not sure here. We don't have any data on anybody that crashed. And we could see the entire field here in our camera view. We'll just go back, take a brief look. As we go into turn 3 here, this is when the caution comes out. You don't see any of these trucks with an issue. Everybody looks just fine. I think this might have been right at the moment that Derek Raleigh got back on track maybe. Let's see, does he come out of the pits here this lap? No, he's riding by himself here. Yeah, it's a really odd one, to say the least. Definitely not sure what was the cause of caution there, but you saw the green light on as he crossed the stripes, and then by the time he gets to turn one, there's the caution lights flashing. So definitely an interesting mix-up here early on. We had the late green flag after a couple delayed parade laps, and since then we only ran a couple. Nobody really had a chance to feel these trucks out just yet. Now what I am noticing is that it's still showing 3 laps complete at the current moment of 55. Now I know we ran more than that here, unless it didn't count the laps that we did in the parade laps. So we'll call it what it shows for now. In fact, we'll probably check with iRacing here in just a moment, so you see the UI popping up on your screen. And yeah, it's showing 3 laps in total complete. So again, not exactly sure what really happened here, what the deal was, but it's going to bring everybody down to the pits to take fuel and tires here. You might as well if you got the chance to. Again, small field, so you don't have to worry about making up as much ground as you normally would here at a race like Talladega. And as they all work their way into their pit stops, or to their pit boxes rather, for the first time here on the night. Again, 4 in fuel. Ooh, further back looks like the 48 machine, or was that the 49 rather, of Charles Dickens, missed his pit stall, so he's going to have to back up, do a little bit of an S-turn in reverse, gets it back forward. He's going to have to back up again. A lot of struggles right here for the 49 truck. I think he finally gets it in his box here, so he'll take, looks like no tires, just fuel. And I mentioned tires, but yeah, I mean, it's probably a smart play to not take those tires yet if you don't have to, because you only have 2 sets. Well, 55 laps maybe isn't a ton of laps. It's enough to where those tires will certainly wear out, and I promise you're going to need at least probably one of those sets in total from the green flag stop, or if we get a late caution, you might even need 2 depending on how many late cautions we start to get. But fuel, as you fill it up, get you back to 67% or a full tank. And looking at it, I believe that gets probably somewhere right around maybe 20 laps, maybe give or take. I'm going to call it right around 20 laps, so maybe 19 or so. And so it's still at this point looking like it's going to be a 2-stopper, I believe. Yeah, certainly still going to be a 2-stopper, but it should be a pretty solid strategy at that. Don't see anybody being able to really save any fuel or try any sort of special tire strategy here to gain any sort of advantage. We'll have to see how things play out. Steve Sizemore still being scored as your leader. Back in second, Michael Menchaca. Third is Wesley Lynch. Fourth place, Matthew Herring. Gary Bergeron in fifth. Brian Newman sixth. Martin Bjork in seventh. Derek Raleigh in eighth. Michael Clay ninth. And Charles Dickens rounding at your top 10. So yeah, from the look of this, looks like Derek Raleigh is racing, so he must be doing double duty as race control. Makes a lot more sense. I was surprised when I heard pre-race, sitting there thinking to myself, man, Derek really gave up on the chance to get out here and race at a super speedway to race control. And instead, he's getting the best of both worlds, keeping these guys in check and also getting a chance to go see if he can get the victory for himself here on the night, at least as it appears. But I think he's going to go in and top off, as a couple of the other back markers at the current moment are going to do. And I'm not sure how many of the fans at home notice, but certainly something catching my eye right now is the new nose on these Ford F-150s. Again, the new iRacing update dropped today. And those, again, the nose on these F-150s, that's different. That's a little bit newer this season, of course, to 2024 in real life as well. So going to be interesting. I think they're a little bit flatter than they used to be. We'll see how that affects pushing, if that makes these trucks able to push a little bit better than the Chevys, or if everything's still about the same. The other big news, maybe not directly related to super speedway racing, but worth note, is that rain has now officially been added to iRacing for the road cars. Had a little chance to test it out earlier. Man, never in the 2 years or so, well, actually about a year and a half that I've had this game, would I have expected to see something quite like they've created with the rain, but it's a ton of fun, and I think that might be my new favorite thing after super speedway racing. Man, still gets no better than this. Bumper to bumper at almost 200 miles an hour, pushing inches apart. What a great, great series that R&R has put on here tonight, as they did with, of course, the 8-race wildcard series. Wesley Lynch looking to repeat on that. Jerry Bergeron was second in points, came up just a bit short. We're going to see if maybe his luck can change around here tonight, but not sure how far back he was sitting in points coming into this race. Can probably try to get at least a general idea. Again, we talked about 1 and 2, Wesley Lynch followed by John Daniels, and it looks like I'm not even seeing Jerry Bergeron in the mix here, so don't think he's going to be chasing after a super speedway title, at least this season. But certainly still a chance again to end the season on a high note if he can get the win here tonight. And another one of the cool things that we see here in the R&R Racing League is not a lot of teammates. Some of these guys might have a couple sort of alliances, if you will, but none of the big teams, manufacturer teams even, that we see in a lot of the other series that we broadcast here on Ghost Racing Network. These guys are all out here just to have a good time, and find who you work best with on the night, try to work with them, but at the end, you certainly know that you're going to try to beat them. All right, after a long caution before we even got the race started and an early caution once we did, finally got things all cleaned up, shaped up. It looks like we're back ready to go. Derek Raleigh, by the way, was able to get back on the lead lap. Derek Fulton still being scored out of the race for the moment. So it's 5 of 55 laps complete. Going to be 56 as they cross the stripe this time. Field in the hands of Sizemore and Menchaca. Into the restart zone we go. Green flag is back in the air at Talladega. Good start for the 5 truck. He's going to get clear. He'll have the option to jump up, but not for long. Big push on the outside by Matthew Herring in the 3 truck. That draws the 32 back even, but watch to see if he jumps down for a little bit of a side draft here as they work up to speed through 1 and 2. Doesn't look like he's going to do it. They'll hang even. The back straightaway is the place again to get all the momentum, especially on that first lap. And who's going to get to the bumper first? Looks like Wesley Lynch was able to stay pretty connected with that 5 truck. And he's actually going to be able to do a good job here in holding him even as they race down the Alabama gang back straightaway. Climbing into turn 3, well over 30 degrees of banking, still side by side. Nobody being able to move up through the field just yet. And further back, looks like the outside really started to stack up right there, right around the 11 of Brian Newman. And so he was able to check up. Everybody's able to get it back together. And now they're starting to get the push going again. Wesley Lynch, who was the lead pusher there for a minute, quickly found a way to get himself to the leader of this pack in general. That pushed Jerry Bergeron to the lead pusher on the inside. Now the 32 of Menchaca along with Wesley Lynch. Both going to jump down. Here we go. First 3-wide action of the night. You see getting pushed towards the back of the pack. Ooh, the 11 cut the 3. A really big break right there. I thought for sure they were going to stay split, but he doesn't. He tucks back down in line. And that will keep everybody, again, side by side for the moment. The 2 of Steve Sizemore, man, getting all out of shape there down the back straightaway. A lot of fishtailing as Matthew Herring was trying to line him up. And these trucks, again, you can push as aggressive as you want just about here. I mean, we saw it at Atlanta, but you're going to see it a lot more here tonight. In fact, we're going to hop on board here pretty quickly we'll go with Matthew Herring on the outside in that 3 truck to show you just the amount of pushing that you got to do in these cars if you want to make, or these trucks rather, if you want to make any progress. And so as he lines up the bumper here with Steve Sizemore, he's trying to get a good push, at least to enter the corner. And as of right now, it looks like he is backing off as they get through the corner. You can push through the corners here, especially at Talladega in the trucks, but right now everybody's still getting a feel for it, playing it conservative, playing it safe. So Wesley Lynch leading the inside, and there's the little bump that you see coming out back from Michael Menchaca. They'll try to stay tended up all the way down the long back straightaway until they get clear to turn 3. But at this rate, the 32 might have a chance to get himself clear going into one of the turns. If he can get enough of a run, he'd probably jump up, see if he can't get a push from Sizemore to the lead. Further back, oh my goodness. We had a hood that blew off in the background. Looks like it might have just been some sort of, I'm not sure, a glitch, netcode, something. You saw it didn't actually come off any of these trucks, at least not the ones that are racing in the pack. Now further back, the 0-2, that is John Daniels, who we talked about second coming into the points battle here tonight. Not sure if there's any extra points on the line for things such as maybe the pole position, leading the most laps, or just leading a lap. But as it stands right now, John Daniels certainly feeling like he needs to start working and picking up some positions here as he sits in the back right now with really no help from behind. And so with that, he's trying to do things the hard way here. As you saw him jump to the outside a couple times, but there was nothing doing, so he'll stay side by side for now at the back of this pack. Derek Raleigh jumped off the circuit there for just a moment as well. Ducked below the yellow. Not sure if he didn't like what he saw or just got a little bit bent out of shape, but he quickly was able to jump back up in line, has fallen a few spots. And this has cost all the help to go away from the inside. Watch for the outside to really get lined up right here as they work their way through the tri-oval and try to get a push down into turn number 1. But boy, Menchaca and Wesley Lynch, boy, they've just been so good here right off the start of the race, working together. And it looks like Wesley Lynch has no intentions of giving up this lead. Didn't qualify on the pole, but boy, it didn't take him long to get to the front either. And there you see another big push from the 32, gets the 33 right back to the front. Now, Wesley does have an option here to jump up, and at some point you start to question yourself and say, does he think about doing it? I mean, these trucks will still get hot. It's just a matter of time as we see 3 wide again. Martin Bjork on the outside with a big push here from the 49 of Charles Dickens. But go back to that temperature statement that we were just talking about. Again, these trucks all have temperature gauges on them. And at a certain point, if they get too hot, those start blinking red. And if you keep letting it blink red, you're going to blow the motor. And that could end your day here, even with 2 fast spares. If you lose the pack, we weren't to get a caution for the rest of the way. And when the track temp's 117 degrees, it's pretty important, again, that you try to make sure you maintain that truck, keep it nice and cool. And to do that, sometimes it's helpful if the guy in front of you is able to jump up a lane just for a lap or two. Those temps will cool a lot faster when there's nobody in front of you versus when there is a truck in front of you. Menchaca, though, managing it really, really well at the moment. Doesn't seem like he's too stressed at all. Seems to have it all figured out. But how about the 3x3 action here down the back straightaway? First time tonight, but certainly not going to be the last. Up top now, Martin Bjork still pushing hard on the back bumper of the 3 of Matthew Hurring. And they're trying to get clear to turn 3. Almost was able to get the 3 truck clear. Wouldn't have been able to get himself in the process, but they really kind of need one more. I mean, we always talk about you really can't get the job done with just 2 trucks. You got to have at least 3. Looks like they were holding pretty strong there with just 2 for a moment, but now they're starting to fade as they work into the tri-oval. And you notice the paints of these trucks still kind of bouncing around a little bit again. I think that's all a product of the new update, but so far the driving seems to be just fine. Nobody with really any major issues at the moment. A lot of clean racing, a lot of good racing, as we now have 2 stuck in the middle. Up front, the 5 of Steve Sizemore almost gets into the door right there of Jerry Bergeron. Just behind him, the 11 of Brian Newman. And here we go, stacking back up top. It's still the 3 of Matthew Hurring with a push from Martin Bjork. Looks like Jack Hignight's going to join the cavalry, if you will, as he tacks on. 3rd truck in line on the outside. The 0-2 of John Daniels stuck in the middle, nowhere to go. There is a gap behind Jerry Bergeron. We'll see if he decides to take it or if it closes up before he gets there. Didn't take Derek Raleigh long. He was quickly able to close up that gap, and so now he will move up to about 4th on that inside line. And with that 67% fuel from when we went back green, that was a big move right there from Derek Raleigh jumping up to the middle. Had trucks on the outside. And sometimes you'll get 2 guys fighting for the same piece of real estate at the same time, and that could have ended in a collision, but it all works out. Now the outside really rolling here. Steve Sizemore, he'll get clear now for the first time back since we went green here to jump down in front of the 32. Michael Menchaca, and so that'll push the 11 up to the lead on the outside. Brian Newman, first time sticking his nose out in clean air here at Talladega. And just on their outside, 3rd lane still rolling with Matthew Hurring and Martin Bjork. Now the 32 gets on the apron, the 33 rather, of Wesley Lynch. That's going to cost them all their momentum. Watch for these 2 outside lines to roll here off of turn number 4. And no, they were able to actually gather it up pretty quick. Nicely done right there by Wesley Lynch to quickly get back to the back bumper of Steve Sizemore. And now, almost 4 wide. John Daniels gave it a thought. You can make 4 wide work here, but it is not very comfortable, not a lot of room to work. It's certainly not something that you want to have to force into by accident, only if you're tending to go to the front. The 3 now pinning it on the door, that middle lane. Matthew Hurring, a little bit of an offset push right there in the middle as well from John Daniels to the back bumper of Brian Newman. That was a close call there, but they all hold it together. That cost the middle and outside line to fade just a little bit. The momentum really swings around in these packs, so I mean, it almost seems like the more you fade back, the bigger the next run's going to be. And the bigger the run you get, the more you fall back once the run dies out. So kind of the nature of these super speedways, but right now, still a lot of 3x3 action. We've already had well over a handful of lead changes up to this point here on the night. I think we're going to still have a lot more through the rest of this race, as when we cross the stripe this time, it's only going to be 15 laps complete. Wesley Lynch did not waste much time riding in line, and I mean, there's no point. You got 2 faster pairs. You might as well race as aggressive as you can, because you know you've got at least one to use here pretty much at any moment, especially if you were to get involved in one of those early wrecks. As long as you got that second one still, probably with about a quarter of the race left to go, I got to feel like you're probably in a pretty good spot. So still 3 wide. The outside line starting to roll here. The 17 machine working his way to the front. Well, I say the 17 machine. I believe that actually might have been 71 machine, rather. Martin Bjork, who's still pushed on the 3 of Matthew Hurring. The 07 of Jack Hignite. The 11, the 02. There's the 17 of Derek Raleigh now in the middle. 3rd truck in line for all this 3x3 action. And so with pit stops, again, you can make it right about 20 laps. And so maybe looking here within the next 6 to... All right, I'm going to go a little bit further and say the next 7 to 11 laps might be when we expect that first green flag stop of the night, assuming that we do indeed make it that far. Looking like things are going to start to single file out here actually just a little bit, as Wesley Lynch, Steve Sizemore are going to jump in just behind that 17 truck of Derek Raleigh. That's a bit of a checkup. Now a couple of them have to jump out of line to avoid the truck in front. And it was indeed Wesley Lynch with the quick cover-up, as he saw Michael Menchaca have to make that move. Chose to go with them, seeing if they can make up some ground. But that is 3 really, really strong trucks that you've got running at the front. And I think it's going to be hard to try to get by these guys unless you get at least 3 to 4 trucks. Good news for them, they're going to get a lot more than that. Charles Dickens jumps up to the top line, waiting for help from Matthew Hurring. And the 71 of Martin Bjork. Looks like a couple other takers back there as well. The bottom still rolling with the 11 up front of Brian Newman, but here comes Wesley Lynch. "17 laps now complete. Drag race down into turn 1, still side by side. A lot of bobbling as everybody starts to get more and more comfortable pushing. They're starting to push that issue, the envelope, if you will, a little bit further. And right there is the one spot you really maybe don't want to push. In this case, if you're John Daniels, the only time these trucks can't take a push very well is on exit of turn 2 or turn 4. That's where the banking transitions back to the straight. The truck unloads it. It almost feels like it's not even really on the ground to a degree, almost as if you're floating, and if you get tagged just slightly offset in that position, pretty easily to get turned around and heading towards the outside wall. Looks like Charles Dickens was maybe considering 3 wide, but he's just going to jump out of line. No helpers. So the 49 is going to have to fall to the back as Martin Bjork and Matthew Hurring are going to go around through the middle. So they crossed the stripe. That time it was 18. The man who has led the most here in just the last handful of laps is still the 11 of Brian Newman. The outside still not been able to get their act together enough to go make a charge, at least for the moment. So as the 11 continues to lead, again, we're expecting pit stops here probably in about 6 to 7 laps from now. Make it maybe 6 to 8. So with that knowledge, we're going to take our first break tonight, but we will go side by side. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. 21 laps complete in the Superspeedway Series Championship. Up front, it is Michael Menchaca in the 32 machine leading Wesley Lynch. Back in third, it's that one of Jerry Bergeron. He's getting a push right now from the second place runner. Right now in points, John Daniels. And on the outside, the 11 of Brian Newman, who we saw leading for quite a while. But as we come back from break, no longer the case. Brian Newman, though, still trying to make something work on the outside if he's got enough help, which it appears he does right now, and they stay committed long enough. I think this middle lane will start to fade, maybe merge either into the bottom or top, and we'll see ourselves get back to 2x2, but we are really getting close to that pit stop window here. I got to think it's probably in just about, again, maybe three to four laps from now. So you got to start thinking about jumping to the bottom of the racetrack, as you do not want to get caught up top. And man, what a close call that was right there for the 11 and the 1. Jerry Bergeron and Brian Newman almost made contact. In fact, they may have even made slight contact, or rather almost wrecked. Somehow they all save it, keep it together. And now again, it becomes the battle of who can jump in line and where. Steve Sizemore still on the bottom. Looked like he was maybe thinking about either bailing out or jumping up. Now we're going to see a little four-wide action. No, the 32 Menchaca almost got split. Wesley Lynch checks up, cuts him a break. That's going to cost him some track position. Here's the 0-2 of John Daniels, followed by Jerry Bergeron. They'll go by and jump to the inside. And it looks like the 11 and 71 still tandem up on the top. Now they finally break away as they get into turn number 1. And so when you make this pit stop here, you cannot speed. Again, the amount of fuel we believe you can get, you can't make it to the finish based off this stop. But if you speed, you lose the draft, you miss your box, whatever happens, could bring your night to an end. So I'm watching for maybe some of the virtual hands to go out the window. I'm sure these guys are talking right now in chat, letting each other know when they're thinking of pitting and which lane they're going to go to. Everybody thinks it's easy to go from almost 200 miles an hour down to about 60. And just that little short shoot worth of distance, but let me tell you, it is not. In fact, speaking of speeds, looking right now, it looks like about 182 miles an hour for your current leader, Gary Bergeron. John Daniels on the outside, similar speeds as well. For the 0-2 truck, or excuse me, on the inside, on the outside, I meant Brian Newman, similar speeds, but John Daniels is going to see if he can maybe push Jerry Bergeron away here just a little bit as they work down the backstretch, maybe see if he can't get those to a little bit of breathing room here before they make it all the way around. And if they decide to pit this time, certainly would be helpful to be a little bit ahead of this pack, if you will, not have to worry about anybody making a mistake that could affect you. But 24 laps complete. Again, we are approaching the halfway mark here. Not long from now, making just about 3 to 4 laps from now, we will be officially halfway through this 55-lap event. Does anybody peel down below the yellow apron? No, not yet. So this will be coming to 25 laps complete now as they cross the stripe this time. I got to believe that they're either coming into pit this time or the time after. I mean, I really just don't see how they could go much further than that. Now, I know the guys that are back in the draft are able to save a little bit with how they're running now, but up front, I would think they would definitely have to pit here. Like I said, either this lap or next lap. But still a couple on the outside trying to make things work. The 11 of Brian Newman has not been able to find a spot to jump down the line just yet. James Hickson, same scenario, different truck for the 14 machine. Looked like there was a gap right there in between Charles Dickens and Steve Sizemore. Chose not to take it, though, at least not yet. We jumped down the line here through 3 and 4. Looks like he gave it a thought. Dickens, though, is going to get there before he's got a chance to do anything. So he doesn't have a choice. Here we go off of turn 4. Do we see any pit stops this time? Here we go. This will draw at least a couple of your leaders in. In fact, it's going to draw them all in here. Can they all get in clean? Oh, we got a couple coming in really hot right here. 49 of Charles Dickens. I don't know how he managed to get slowed up there right at the last second. I thought he was getting ready to clean out Derek Raleigh. Nice job there by Charles Dickens to get down to speed. These things are not easy to slow down, and man, oh man, especially on a little bit older tires. But now everybody getting into their box. This is where the real test comes in. Cannot afford to overshoot it. And again, this is probably going to be 2 tires filled up with fuel and get right back out there. Looking for the race out of the pits here. And who's going to get it? Looks like if we go back towards the front here, it's going to be the 0-2 of John Daniels who leads them all out. And we only had one truck that decided to stay out, James Hickson. Usually not the ideal strategy because he just had to run an entire lap without any draft. The flip side of it, though, is that you hope that he can get into pit road a little bit more aggressive, maybe get out a little bit more aggressive, and then hopefully that translates to him being able to stick with the pack. But John Daniels is going to get some quick help here from Derek Raleigh. Those two came out of the pits pretty close to each other. Looks like Wesley Lynch, Steve Sizemore still going to be well within drafting range. These three aren't quite yet. It's close. Looks like as it stands, they're 2 seconds behind. But Martin Bjork knows how to hold a pretty wheel, and just behind him, he's got a couple of really good pushers, Jack Hignite and Jerry Bergeron. So if they all stay locked together, I think they're close enough that they'll start making time here in the next lap or two. Maybe start to close this thing back down before we get to that second and final green flag pit stop of the night. And with when that fuel window is set to open, It should be right around lap maybe 35, 36. That would be if you decided to come really early, but if you decide to stretch this thing out all the way, then I think you could go potentially all the way to right around maybe lap 45-ish, give or take a couple laps. So we'll see what different strategies everybody decides to go with. There's Charles Dickens. In fact, we're going to go through all the guys that look like they may have lost the pack as either the result of a mistake or unfortunate circumstances during that pit stop. Looks like Michael Clay in 8th is just holding on to that pack, being led by Martin Bjork. Charles Dickens in the same boat. Now, Michael Menchaca, it's got some help right now from Brian Newman, but they are 2.1 seconds behind the rear tailgate of Charles Dickens, and they've got to get down to within 1.5 seconds if they want to start to catch a little bit of a draft. So these two going to be pushing for all they're worth. James Hickson with some trouble here. The 14 exiting the pits. I think I know what happened here. I think the tire tracks are telling the story. It looks like he looped it around. Hard contact with the outside wall. And boy, he paid the tow bill right there almost immediately. Look at the left front of the 14 truck. That's pretty significant damage. That's going to play a pretty big role on the way that truck drives the rest of the night. Let's go back, though, and take a look at exactly what causes this for him here. I think it's just going to be old tires. It's so easy to come around here out of the pits because you're trying to get everything you can, and James was already under pressure to try to get a little bit faster than everybody else to catch the leaders. Seems like everything's smooth here. As soon as he crosses that green cone commitment line, though, gets on the loud pedal and just comes right around on him. I mean, not really much he could do there. I was trying to see if it sounded like maybe he hit a downshift, but it didn't sound that way. Might have been. Either way, the point is, once he looped it around, just know where you can go as a driver at that point. And again, really, really tough brakes. So we'll see if he's able to not lose too many laps here. I got to think this is going to cost him at least a few, though. Anytime you have to tow, that tow wheel pretty expensive. So he may have retired from the night. At least that's what the scoring tower showed for the current moment. And so with that, we turn our attention back towards the front of the field where it's still Wesley Lynch leading John Daniels. But now we've got a little 2x2 tandem action now as Derek Raleigh, or excuse me, I said it's John Daniels leading Derek Raleigh. On the outside, it was Wesley Lynch and Steve Sizemore. A little bit of a different mix-up here on the night, but we've seen Sizemore and Wesley Lynch been working together a few different times. But I'm surprised this pack isn't trying to get organized here and pull away from the second pack that's being led by Martin Bjork. And right now, Martin is 3.3 seconds back. And if he can, again, get that probably down about another 2 seconds, then they will be in the draft. If they push hard here, I think they've got a good shot at it, especially with the fact that right now they are making up time. 3 seconds now the total distance, so they made up almost half a second just in that last half a lap. So a lot of time right now coming from a couple of the Canadian drivers who are tagging along here with Jack Hignite, or rather hanging with Jack Hignite, Michael Clay, Michael Menchaca. Everybody back here that is not with that lead driver, I got to be honest, is probably hoping for a caution right now. Not sure if they're going to be able to get one, though, here. So we are now a few laps over halfway at Talladega Superspeedway. If you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. You are watching the R&R Racing League Superspeedway Series, their final race of the season, the championship, and looking to see if Wesley Lynch is going to make it 2 championships in the last 2 weeks. Of course, one last Tuesday at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and looking to see if he can make it one here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. He sits 4th in this league group. Just in front of him, the 5 of Steve Sizemore. Derek Raleigh in 2nd after some of the trouble he had on the pace laps just as this race was getting going. And then just behind him, the 5 of Steve Sizemore as well, making up this 4-truck lead draft. Well, bad news for any Martin Bjork fans. They have started to fade again. In fact, they're back to almost 3.5 seconds now. I think that's partially as a result of this front pack figuring out that, guys, we're going to run a lot faster here if we get organized, and maybe that way we can keep it a race amongst ourselves instead of pulling anybody else into the mix. And so if this strategy stands right now, we'll see when they decide to pit, and if they all pit together here, at least that goes for these front 4 in this lead pack. Or if they still try to split it up, maybe catch each other sleeping just a little bit. One thing we know is you won't see any pit stops here probably for the at least next 5 to 7 laps. Got to get inside 20 to go to, of course, meet that fuel window requirement. But still, as it stands right now, John Daniels leading the way, Derek Raleigh 2nd, Steve Sizemore 3rd, Wesley Lynch 4th, and Martin Bjork back rounding out the top 5. Jerry Bergeron 6th, 7th is Jack Hignite, Michael Clay in 8th, Michael Menchaca 9th, Brian Newman back in 10th, Charles Dickens in 11th, Matthew Hurring in 12th, James Hickson in 13th, and of course he retired from the race. Derek Fulton not able to make the initial start either due to some issues that he had himself, as Martin Bjork way in the back got shuffled out of line. What a close call that one was. Looks like everybody was able to save it again. But the 71, I'm not sure, did he just get kind of punted off to the right, or did he just get a little loose by himself? Usually when you see somebody get that out of shape here, there's a little bit of help from somewhere. Question just becomes, where is that somewhere? But here we go from the chopper view. Oh yeah, he's just trying to get a push there from his, I'm not going to say teammate, but certainly same national teammate there, both drivers from Canada. And Jerry Bergeron just, I don't even know if he was to his bumper yet. I mean, I'm playing it slow here, trying to catch it. Hasn't got my eye just yet, but yeah, no, he never touches him here. Watch the one truck. He gets pretty close, but never touches him there. Just looks to me like the 71 decided he wanted to go up for some reason, maybe to fall to the back of the pack, save some fuel, just conserve, ride around, do something for a little bit here. So there's now 23 laps to go as they cross the stripe that time, and as they cross it this time, it will be 22 laps to go. All right, we are going to take another quick break as we anticipate pit stops here again just after about the next handful of laps or so. We will again go side by side there so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us at Talladega. Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Now really starting to wind down towards the end of the championship race for the Superspeedway Series. And man, oh my goodness, these guys starting to look like a ticking time bomb that might be getting ready to go kaboom. 2, 3 wide, a lot of lead changes, a lot of splitting of the field. But even with all this action, still a pit stop to come. Question is going to be, when do you make that stop? And at this point, I do believe that everybody is within the fuel window to make it the rest of the way. Now, interestingly enough, oh, contact, there it is. The 5 goes around. Most guys look like they were able to miss him there initially. The 11 goes through the grass. Now him and Wesley Lynch get together. Lynch straightens it back out. Jerry Bergeron's going to go to the high side. He'll be able to miss it. Charles Dickens in the 49, but it was the 5 of Steve Sizemore, the first truck to go around. Looks like he was able to get it back rolling. Getting reports here that Brian Newman may have gotten some damage from this as well. There's the 11. Saw him go through the grass. Saw the 11, or I thought it was the 11 who went through the grass. There's the 33. the other 33, if you will. We got a couple of them in here tonight. Man. It's Michael Clay we saw go by, but just trying to figure out why the racing had gotten so aggressive out of nowhere. I mean, I know we're within 20 laps to go, but again, still expecting a pit stop. And usually that keeps guys a little bit more tame than that. But now that, of course, they've had this caution, we won't be expecting that final stop. But here we go. Ooh. Yeah, that's going to be a case of a push gone wrong there. And then trying to save it almost does, but no dice here for a couple of the guys on the outside. That was the 0-2, I believe. Was it John Daniels, the first man to go around through this? Let's go back this up a little bit further and then take a look. No, that was the 32, excuse me. The 0-2 was on the inside. That was the 32 of Michael Menchaca. And I think it's just, man, I think it's just ever so slight of a little bit of a swipe here from the 11. Watch, I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like here. We're going to go to the cockpit view for the 11 here of Brian Newman, who was pushing Menchaca at the time. I'm going to play this real slow for you. Now watch. As they go down the back straightaway here, the 11, I think they get 3-truck tandem. So he's got somebody just behind him now. Yeah, he does, and that's going to give him a push. And when he gets that push, that gives him a surge of momentum here that sends him into the back bumper of Menchaca. That gets Menchaca a little bit high. And now once he's on the inside, he's still getting pushed, so he's not able to really check up for Michael. And that gets him into the left rear, sends him down into the inside line. Nowhere to go, and when the 5 gets turned around, boy, this certainly looked like it was going to be a lot uglier than it was. The 11 goes on the grass, but overall, I mean, besides the contact there between Wesley Lynch and Brian Newman, I don't think there was really any big hits on this one. And you don't hear that often, especially the area where they wrecked from the lead going into turn 3. Not an easy way to miss that one for half the field, but somehow they all do a tightrope act to do so. They all miss this wreck. Let's take another look here. As there's the 32 going down. I'll tell you what, Steve Sizemore helped straighten him out when that whole incident kind of started up. And then, man, what a close call right there from Martin Bjork to sneak by. Gary Bergeron is able to miss one truck. Then he's going to have to do a balancing act again to miss a second one right there. Derek Raleigh, nice piece of driving. But I want to go on board here with Martin Bjork. And again, I do not understand how he did not hit the spinning Steve Sizemore. Here you go. He sees it. He's trying to check up. The 5 comes out of nowhere. He sees it. He's not going to be able to brake in time, so he turns the wheel just ever so slightly to the left and is able to keep from clipping Derek Raleigh while also missing that wreck. Really good piece of driving right there from the 71 machine. Get 2 more looks at it here. First from the TV follow cam. Boy, it doesn't take much in these trucks. And these guys have been pushing so hard for so long here tonight. It's just a matter of time before disaster finally struck, but I don't see any fast pairs probably going from this one except maybe for Wesley Lynch, depending on just how bad that nose damage that he sustained was. But besides that, still all the trucks just about that started this race, minus the exception of a couple, are out running. It's going to set us up for a lot more great racing here in these closing 15 laps or so. Up front, it is Matthew Herring being scored as your leader, Michael Menchaca second, John Daniels third, Martin Bjork in fourth, and Brian Newman riding out your top 5. So they get the one-to-go signal here. Let's see if we can get maybe another interview here from one of these guys sitting towards the front of the field. With the 4th place runner right now of Martin Bjork. If we can get a word with him. Well, I'm not seeing him in chat, so we'll move on to the next man that I wanted to see if we could get a quick word with here. One of the guys up front, Matthew Herring. And doesn't look like he's in the Discord either, so we'll keep moving down the list. Guys we wanted to see if we could get a quick word with. See if we can get Wesley Lynch, the man who currently leads in points. Hey, Wesley, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, buddy.
Well, I'll tell you what, coming to 15 laps to go, you got a little banged up from that last wreck. First question I got for you is, how's the damage looking?
Actually, I have no damage at all. I actually had my fast repair checked off to do it, and I actually got a 4X from it, but no damage whatsoever from it.
Well, there you go. So now you'll have the chance to at least have a clean truck, but now you're a little bit more towards the middle portion of this relatively small pack. I mean, still first 3 rows. So you got a couple choices you got to make here. What's going to be the game plan to get back to the front in these last 15 laps?
I really want to get to the outside right here on the restart, so hopefully I'll find somebody with a gap that I can squeeze into to catch a run up there.
Well, you won the championship in the 8-race wildcard series just over a week ago. Looking to see if you can go back-to-back here tonight. We appreciate you giving us a quick word. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
No problem. And, you know, I mean, I noticed this at the tip of the top of the broadcast, if you will, but didn't say anything here until we got the front of you. But yeah, this paint scheme looks like it is a fully dedicated scheme to your champ for the 8-race wildcard series. And there you see it there. It's a good-looking scheme at that. It's got champion on the back. Wouldn't be surprised if Martin Bjork made that. I believe he's making some paint schemes and making some pretty good ones at that. All right, here we go. Pace car is going to make the hard left turn. Field back in the hands here of John Daniels and Michael Menchaca. It's going to be 15 laps to go to decide a winner here at the fastest track in all of NASCAR. 2.65 miles, the length of one lap, over 30 degrees banking, speeds almost 200 miles an hour. And they got to try to do all that for another 15 laps. We'll see how it works out. Green flag back in the air. It's a good jump by the outside lane this time. Martin Bjork was quickly to the 71. Looked like, I'm not sure if there was a little tire spin or just pushing that was fishtailing the 0-2 of John Daniels around on the inside. But with him not getting the start he wanted, that gave Menchaca a chance to clear low. Didn't want to do it. He stays up. He likes the push that he's getting right now from Martin Bjork. He's going to have to hope that that push stands here as they work down the back straight away. Looks like it will, at least for the current moment. 3 wide further back. Jack Hignite in the 07, trying to see if he can maybe bully a couple of these guys out of the way through the middle, pick up a couple more spots. And he was able to do just that. That was Michael Clay that actually drops a position in the process of that. And you see the 3 truck there, Matthew Hurring, who I may have been calling your leader. I think actually at the time, I think he was maybe just waiting for a wave around. I believe he may have got that. Not sure exactly what the deal was there, but up front, still 2x2. No third lane really getting formed just yet. Charles Dickens maybe giving it a thought, but now with 14 laps to go and for when they went back green, everybody should be good to go on fuel by quite a bit. I mean, looking at the margin, they should be able to make at least 1, probably at least 2. Green, white checkers, if we were to need them. 3 is where it maybe starts to get a little bit sketchy. But of course, if we don't need them at all, the best position to be in is up front. And the best way to do that is to use some of that strategy play. So maybe not the most timely caution for some of these guys that wanted to see green flag stops, but if you're not the best at pit stops, boy, that caution came out at the perfect time because we were coming up on them in a hurry. And now the 32 and the 71 trying to start to reestablish, if you will, that momentum on the outside. Martin Bjork needs a little bit more of an arrow push right now from Jerry Bergeron. He's just not getting it. I think that's Jerry playing it a little bit conservative, but now they're going to get the help they need with Wesley Lynch jumping up. The 32 of Michael Menchaca is going to give a big push to that 33 truck. See if he can try to get him now back up to the front after he took the risk, jumped out of line, up to the outside. And right now, they've got to be best buds on the track because that 32 is locked on. He breaks away again as they get into turn number 1. Inside now starting to show the same trend. It's the 11 of Brian Newman this time, who's able to get locked onto the back bumper of John Daniels. And when do you call that third lane? When does it start to form up? We've seen a couple guys trying it by themselves, but you're going to have at least 3 to 4 trucks in whatever lane you try to make it work, whether you try to split the middle or jump to the outside. And certainly can never rule out 4 wide. It's always an option when we come to a track like Talladega. But so far, still so good. The outside, Michael Menchaca, still tandemed up, doing everything he can here for Wesley Lynch. And if you're Lynch here and you get clear, do you take it and jump low, or for the moment, do you stay up here and see if you can't bring Menchaca with you? Again, not sure what all Michael's racing here for tonight besides the win, so you wonder how much that plays into the strategy of what he would do at the end of this race to try to beat your current leader in points. And if the race ended right now, look at the scoring tower, Wesley Lynch would be officially your champion. But of course, still some factors to throw in, and John Daniels is not going to go away too easily. He still leads the inside as he's got a good push from Brian Newman in the 11. Things starting to slowly wind down, and guys starting to run out of time here. The further back you are, the quicker you got to start thinking about trying to find one of these lanes to get yourself to the front. The problem is exactly what we're starting to see right here. It's that almost gridlock formation that starts to occur when they get 3 wide for a certain number of laps and every lane starts to become even. But you wondered if that track temp was going to have any sort of influence, at least by the end of this race. Track temp now, I believe, it's actually cooled down maybe just a little bit, about a degree or 2. And so, oh, hold your breath. Man, Wesley Lynch jumped up just a little bit there after clearing low. And, man, that was a close call. I thought he was getting ready to get split 4 wide by the 0-2 and the 32. But he's able to jump back down on the inside, retain that position. And, by the way, now is being scored as your leader again after making that move down to the inside with help from the outside and then jumping back up to try to maybe stall the run. Or maybe got a little bit of a sour push, but a good save 11 laps to go now and still 3x3. Martin Bjork, one of his first times being able to actually lead that third lane here tonight. He's been doing a lot of pushing. Been getting a lot of guys to the front, but he's ready to try to get some of that himself. The 32 and the 5, Menchaca and Sizemore there in the middle with a pretty good push, a pretty good run. And whatever you lack in numbers, especially in these truck races, you can try to get back utilizing the side draft, if you will. The spoilers on these trucks are so massive that whenever you dump a bunch of air on it, it makes that guy almost look like he's at a standstill. And so that's why you're seeing the middle jump down just a little bit as they work through the corner. Trying to get a side draft now. The top, you'll notice as we get closer to the end of this race, is going to start doing, honestly, more of the same. And that's just trying to do whatever you can to not let that lane make any more progress. Ooh, hold your breath. Sizemore and Menchaca got together again. Sizemore has to jump to the outside, bails on it. And now he'll get picked up by Martin Bjork in the 71. That'll now put it 4, 4, and 4. All three lanes, 3x3. What better way to end the season here at Talladega Superspeedway? Things still looking like they are right on the razor's edge. That time, Derek Raleigh makes some contact with Steve Sizemore. On the bottom, it's still Wesley Lynch, who's got to feel like, if nothing else, he's at least in the most comfortable spot right now. But how long can you hold that? A lot of times, we hear that being the person leading on the last lap at Talladega or Daytona is not the place you want to be. Sometimes being the lead pusher is the catbird seat. But with all the pushing we've got going on right now, I think I'd be feeling actually pretty safe if I was in the position that John Daniels and or Wesley Lynch was in right now. And so Martin Bjork still getting a push from Jerry Bergeron. They're both trying to get Steve Sizemore to the front of this pack. And on the inside, the 33 of Wesley Lynch now fades a little bit more. This time the 02 of John Daniels may have gotten clear going into turn 3. Yeah, he did. Maybe he was going to try to bring with him the 32 of Menchaca, but couldn't quite do it. So as he jumps down, that will now box in your championship leader for the current moment in Wesley Lynch. Maybe do we see a fourth lane here? Martin Bjork? No, I think he's just trying to cool the motor off. And that goes back to all the pushing that we talked about he's had to do here tonight, using those temps up a lot quicker, but ultimately doing a good job. 3x3, there it is, big hit for the 32. Hard into the outside wall goes Menchaca, and a couple more wrecked behind him. The 3 of Matthew Herring's in it. Martin Bjork's in it. Steve Sizemore gets back rolling after massive, massive contact for the 32. Michael Menchaca with that outside safer barrier. And that caution falls with 8 laps to go. So this is going to now put us in a restart with under 5 to go. Certainly going to change some things up a little bit, but let's go back here and take a look at exactly where this whole thing goes wrong. It looked like somebody tried to move up and just maybe not quite enough room there when you make that move. Let's see here. Michael Menchaca in the middle. It's a little bit of a stack up. Oh, the 32 just washes high. I don't even think that, honestly, Michael was trying right there to jump up the track. I think that's just a little bit of a stack-up effect, and we're going to go to the cockpit view first before we go any further here and watch this whole trial and see how this develops. Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, it's just that brief little stack-up. You hear him have to bail out of the throttle, but sometimes when you hit a truck like that, it gets you a little bit tight, and that's what it did. And when you're running this close, we talk about how little of a mistake it takes to create a wreck this big. And man, oh man, let's go to the TV follow view here and watch this contact for the 32 machine. Oh man, I mean, it's just ever so slight. I mean, I don't even think they were actually hitting each other yet, but they were. Yeah, no, they definitely were. They were going to make contact either way, but 32 goes around hard into the outside wall. You see the rear tires jump off the ground for just a moment. Bumper cover goes flying. And then now it's everybody trying to miss it here. The 5 of Steve Sizemore has to get into Jerry Bergeron to do so. And once they bump, that sends the 5 back hard into the outside safer barrier himself. And Matthew Herring somehow, I don't think gets tagged right here, but he does just barely clip the one truck there of Jerry Bergeron. And then there you see Martin Bjork spinning on the inside. Let's go back and take a different look at this one here. First angle, if you will, from the restart cam. Yeah, that's a big hit right there for the 32 truck. A lot of smoke, but all in all, it looks like it was only about 3 or 4 trucks. So again, not as big of a wreck as we're used to seeing at these plate tracks. Part of that is the reason, or part of the reason for that is the little bit of a smaller field, which in this case is working out pretty well. As we take a couple more looks at that hit from Menchaca, nothing Steve Sizemore could do there. I mean, he's racing for every position he could get, trying to dive down for a side draft, and fortunately, in that case, things just did not quite work out the way that he had them planned, I'm sure. Take one final look at this here from, we'll go back actually to the wall cam. Take it back. We're actually going to go back to TV5 here. And watch the 49 here of Charles Dickens. I mean, he has to make pretty much a dead left turn right as he sees them get spun to not hit anything here. Miss this, jump to the inside. I mean, again, what a job by Charles Dickens to miss this wreck. Ultimately takes out 3 of the really strong trucks that we had here on the night. So let's go back up front. John Daniels, who was second in the championship battle, is now being scored as your leader. Back in second, it's Brian Newman. Derek Raleigh in third. Michael Clay fourth. Jerry Bergeron in fifth. Martin Bjork in sixth. Matthew Herring seventh. Steve Sizemore eighth. Michael Menchaca in ninth. And Charles Dickens rounding out your top 10. Wesley Lynch back in 11th. Looks like he's actually came to a halt here on the back straightaway, just on the inside. And then the 07 back in 12th. Jack Hignite down 3 from where he started. James Hickson and Derek Fulton, of course, had to retire, one before the race even started, and then one during the race due to a couple issues, one on track, one a connection issue. The biggest mover through the field, at least at the current moment, is Derek Raleigh, who's up 8 positions from where he started, and you can't forget about the trouble that he had flashing back to just before we took the green flag. Was able to get whatever problem it was sorted out, and since then has proven that when you give this guy a second chance, he's going to take full advantage of it. All right, well, the lights on the pace car go off. That means 1 lap to go here under caution before we get the green flag. And then it'll be 5 laps of green flag racing if we can make it 4 of those laps to take the white flag. And this race will be official. If not, then I believe this will be our last restart, at least in natural time for the race schedule distance. And then after that, we will head into overtime. So on the bottom, the 02 of John Daniels. What can he do here? Again, championship on the line. This is where some of the best drivers make history in the best moments. Let's see if we can get a word on how the potential champ is feeling here about his position right now. Hey, John Daniels, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you loud and clear.
All right, well, second in points coming into the race here tonight. You find yourself in the lead with what's going to be 5 laps to go. Got to think the nerves are pretty amped up right now. How you feeling, and what's going to be the game plan here?
Oh, just keep it on the inside and hope everything works. I think I've got the math figured out to keep Wesley in mind, and we'll go from there.
Well, speaking of that, you got Wesley right to your outside here. Do you think about maybe jumping up, trying to control that lane, or are you just staying tucked to the inside the rest of the way and hoping this thing stays clean?
Stay inside, hope it stays clean, and work on it from there.
Sounds like a plan. Well, you've been strong all night up to this point. We'll see if you can cap this thing off. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
There you go. I'll tell you what, he definitely sounded maybe just a little bit more nervous than some of the other interviews we had, and he should be. I mean, he's in a prime position here to be known as a champion if he can hold everybody off for 5 more laps. In a lot of tracks, maybe not the hardest thing to do. Here at Talladega, where we have the draft, the great equalizer as it's also known as, it is such a hard thing to do. He's going to need a lot of help. And behind him, he's got Brian Newman on the outside. The helper for the 33 of Wesley Lynch is going to be the 17 of Derek Raleigh. And then who starts that third lane? Maybe watch for Jerry Bergeron to be the first truck to jump out. Green flag back in the air. 5 laps to go at Talladega. The last race of the Superspeedway Series. Big jump on the outside there. Wesley Lynch is going to get clear before they even get to turn 1 of John Daniels. He'll jump down at that. Derek Raleigh now up top. Here comes Jerry Bergeron along with the 3 of Matthew Herring. Michael Menchaca, Martin Bjork, both going to jump up to the top as well, just in front of Jack Hignite and Charles Dickens. So they go down the back straightaway. We've already got one trying 3 wide. It is the 3 truck of Matthew Herring. He is going to get a little help here. Looks like Martin Bjork likes what he sees, and he is going to jump right up to the top to see if he can't get that 3 machine all the way to the front. They'll get a little bit more support here from the 49 of Charles Dickens. But right now, that bottom is rolling. No help up top just yet, as Jerry Bergeron has not quite been able to tag on to the back of Derek Raleigh at the current time. And so now as they start to get things reorganized back together, the 02 of John Daniels saw the opportunity to make the move. He jumped up. 11 goes with him. And just like that, the inside has faded. It's gone. And now the 11 and the 02, Daniels and Newman, have both jumped in front of Wesley Lynch. And if you're Lynch here, again, starting to run out of time, you really got to start thinking about what you want to do here. If he can afford to finish third, he's still not safe, because as it stands right now, he's got 2 trucks on his outside. They could both get a big run on the last lap, push him back to 5th. So this is where you start seeing all the big pushes, as we see right there, little fishtailing for Derek Raleigh in the middle. He's getting all he can handle here from Jerry Bergeron. Looks like a little bit further out back, the 33 of Michael Clay jumped below the apron. Derek Release still in the middle on the bottom. John Daniels, Brian Newman trying to tandem away here just a little bit. Up top, the third lane still there, but it's staggered pretty bad right now. They're just not quite able to get dead even at the current moment. They still have got some time to do it. But here we go, 3 laps to go, 2 more laps. These guys are going to wreck before this race will be considered official. 112 degrees, still the track temp. Let's take a look at the dashboard speeds, though, now as they stay 3x3 into turn number 1. Let's go to Brian Newman here. Let's see what it's looking like on the inside of his 11 truck. And you see as they exit the corner already at 187, and it's a no lift here down the back. He's just trying to push him for all he's worth, but notice all the bobbing and weaving that was going on there and the fishtailing that it caused for your current leader in John Daniels. That actually scrubs off a lot of speed. The whole point of a draft is to be as aerodynamic as possible, breaking a hole in that draft. But still 2x2 now, or rather I should say still 3x3. But only towards the back. Up front now for about the first 3 to 4 rows. It's back to 2x2 with the 02 of John Daniels on the bottom and the 33 of Wesley Lynch up top. Derek Raleigh with another big push, trying to get Wesley clear, got him a little bit loose, had to follow him up. That cost them some momentum, but is it enough for the 17 to get clear? It is just barely. Wesley Lynch barely able to sneak by the 0-2 right there of John Daniels. Daniels, though, not done yet. He's going to jump up the 11, almost followed him right there. Brian Newman. Now Derek Raleigh's going to split up high. John Daniels, no help, stuck in the middle. 2 laps to go, by the way. This is the last lap for a caution. Derek Raleigh's trying to pull clear of the 0-2. Looks like he's going to be able to do just that. Working into turn number 3. Can they make it all the way back to the stripe clean? On the bottom, the 11, Brian Newman still pushing as hard as he can on the back bumper of Wesley Lynch. He pushed Daniels earlier, but now Daniels stuck back second in the middle. Top lane hasn't given up just yet. It is still Jerry Bergeron leading it into the trial, making about 300 yards away from this thing being official. And they're going to do it. One lap to go with the white flag in the air, and that means this race is official. We are going to crown a winner, whether they wreck or not. Here we go. Derek Raleigh gets another big push. How much temperature is left for that 11 truck? Does he have enough to push the rest of the way on the inside? No lift at this point. If you're John Daniels, do you split him? Yes, you do. Go up top. Here comes the run from Jerry Bergeron. The 1 truck's going to push the 0-2. Is it enough to push him clear of the 17? A lot of bumping, a lot of banging doors. Did he get clear? He did. No, he didn't. Looks like Derek Raleigh splits him 1 lane lower. Now the 1 gets into the wall. No run from the 0-2 of Daniels. He will fade to the back. All the battling now up front with Wesley Lynch. He leads on the bottom out of turn number 4. For the final time, working into the tri-oval. He got the job done last week. Can he do it again this week? Derek Raleigh with 1 more big push. It is not enough. Wesley Lynch wins the Superspeedway Championship. And he gets it done at Talladega Superspeedway. Make it back-to-back wins, at least on our broadcasts here, and back-to-back championships to go along with it. John Daniels finishes 9th. Man, what an effort. The 0-2 gave it there right at the end, but just not quite enough. And we're going to go back and take a look at about this last half a lap, because there's a couple things that I wanted to look at. Man, it really was, I'm telling you, it was so close there going into turn 3 on if John Lynch had gotten clear of Derek Raleigh. I almost thought for maybe just a split second he did, and maybe there was just a little bit of hesitation. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a better angle on this here. This is going to be a really tough one to view. We're going to play it as slow as we can here. So the 0-2 needs 1 more big push. Boy, it's so close. I don't think he was quite clear. He needed just a little bit more oomph right there going into turn 3, and Jerry Bergeron gave him all he had. It just, fortunately, wasn't quite enough. And then once they got into the wall, the momentum was gone. Nothing the 0-2 could do. Jumps in the draft, but at this point, it's just too little, too late. But now the battle is on between your leaders here, where this thing came down just about all the way to the start-finish line. The run finally broke up top there. Menchaca was pushing Raleigh for all he was worth, but just not quite enough. And there you saw the 11 of Brian Newman maybe taking a quick sneak, maybe a quick peek rather, down to the bottom of the track, but couldn't quite get it. And there's the margin of victory. This thing may have been a little bit closer than we thought. 3/100ths of a second. He comes across the line sideways to win it. So as we go back live, your winner, Wesley Lynch, burns it down here at Talladega while he continues to celebrate. Let's take a look. The finishing results are on the night. Wesley Lynch, your winner and Superspeedway Series champion of the season. Derek Raleigh finishes in that 2nd spot. Good run for him tonight. Back at 3rd is Brian Newman. Michael Menchaca in 4th. Michael Clay 5th, Steve Sizemore 6th, Jack Ignite in 7th, Charles Dickens 8th, John Daniels back in 9th, rounding out your top 10, Martin Bjork. Matthew Herring in 11th, Jerry Bergeron in 12th, James Hickson in 13th, Derek Fulton rounds out the field. He finished in 14th. All right, we're going to go see if we can get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, and I don't see your third place finisher here on the night. So with that knowledge, we are going to start with your second place finisher here, Derek Raleigh. Derek, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you, buddy.
Well, you bring home second. Looked like you may have had a shot there at the win coming to the Tribal. Doesn't quite work out, but a great finish nonetheless. Tell us about your night and how you feel about your finish.
Well, my night was pretty crazy. I was right off the bat, I was in second gear, just pulled off the line in second, and my motor just randomly blew up. I don't know what the hell happened there, but hey, there was a bunch of updates going on. We got it all figured out. I was pushing, Wesley up there, and I was pushing Daniels. It sucks that Daniels couldn't, make it happen tonight. I love them both, great dudes. But it all worked out. I had to try to go for the win too there, and made a few moves and ended up in second, thanks to my old boy Menchaca behind me.
Well, nonetheless, still a great run. So before we let you head out here tonight for the final time of the season, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, man. Thank Ghost Racing Network. I'd like to thank Brian Bassett and One Stop Shop. I'd like to thank all the guys here at R&R Racing, obviously. And congratulations to Wesley for the win. And good run to my boy John Daniels as well.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on second place, and we will see you out here next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. All right. Now that's going to bring us to your winner here on the night. Not only did he go back-to-back on the win category, but he went back-to-back on the championship category. It's Wesley Lynch. Wesley, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, buddy.
Well, go ahead and tack another championship onto the total. You get the job done here tonight. But, man, you had to work for it those last couple laps. A lot of lead changing over the course of that final restart to the finish, but you make it happen. What were the emotions in that last lap there? You saw John Daniels trying to make the move, and, man, how does it feel to capture another championship?
I'm stoked. I'm just overwhelmed, man. It's been a pleasure to be able to run with these guys.
Well, certainly been a pleasure to watch here on the night so far. And throughout the season, of course, a lot of great performances got you to this position. But, I mean, when you come into a race like this, I know you got two fast pairs, but it's got to be a little bit stressful driving in the pack. What was the overall strategy here tonight to make it to the end of the race and have the track position?
So the overall strategy was I really wanted to try to get as many laps as I could up front leading the race, because the most laps led, is a point, and that's kind of huge in the situation that I'm in, or was in the points coming into this race. So I really wanted to get up to the front of the race and be able to try to control it as much as I could, and just kind of, weigh my options at that point.
Well, you did it all in the correct order, and it worked out. You got the win. You not only are you a back-to-back winner in the last 2 weeks, but you are a back-to-back champion as well. Before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, once again, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my family for tuning in to the broadcast. I'll give a huge shout out to you for putting this out there for everybody within our league to be recognized. Also, I'll give a shout out to Raleigh Restro Rods for sponsoring the group, One Stop Shop, Badass Paints, and 760 Graphics for putting together some pretty tough looking paints for the championship schemes that I was able to run this evening.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we appreciate you talking to us again. Congrats on the win. Congrats on the championship, and we'll see you out here next time.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Austin.
All right. Well, that's just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. What a race it was, and what a win it was for Wesley Lynch. He gets the job done, gets the championship for the Superspeedway Series. I loved it just as I have the last 2 weeks. These guys over here at R&R continue to put on a phenomenal showing, regardless of series, regardless of track. And boy, they didn't disappoint here tonight. With that, that's just about going to wrap things up. Next place we had here on Ghost Racing Network. Thursday night, we'll be back with the PGR March Madness Round 2, the round of 16 in the Gen 6 Series at Talladega Superspeedway. Make sure you check that out. As for everybody still tuning in, I appreciate you being here. And for everybody that watched, certainly appreciate you coming out. Hope everyone did enjoy. That'll do it for me, Austin Green, here on Ghost Racing Network.